The tectonic plates of global power are shifting, not just beneath our feet, but across the very fabric of international relations. What once seemed immovable is now in motion, and the world is watching as new alliances form and old certainties dissolve. For decades, the world order was dominated by the West, with clear alliances and economic pathways. The G7, NATO, and the European Union set the tone for global cooperation, security, and prosperity. Western capitals were the epicenters of decision-making, shaping the rules that govern trade, diplomacy, and even culture. But today, February 5, 2026, Europe itself is sending shockwaves through that order. Headlines across the continent are filled with talk of change, and policymakers are scrambling to keep up with a rapidly evolving landscape. Serbia and Turkey, both long tied to Europe, have formally applied to join the BRICS alliance, a bloc designed to challenge the Western status quo. This move signals a dramatic rethinking of their place in the world, and a willingness to look beyond traditional partners. This isn't just a diplomatic pivot, it's a bold statement about where power and opportunity now lie. It's a message to the world that the future may not be written in the capitals of the West, but in a new, more diverse set of power centers. The post-Cold War consensus is over. The era when the West could assume its model would be universally adopted is fading into history, replaced by a more contested and multipolar reality. The idea that all nations would inevitably converge toward the Western model is being openly contested. Debates rage in parliaments and on the streets as countries weigh their options in a world where the rules are no longer set in stone. BRICS, once dismissed as a talking shop, is now a magnetic force, attracting members from the very continent that once defined the global order. Its influence is growing and its appeal is undeniable to those seeking alternatives. Serbia and Turkey's move is a symptom of a larger trend, the rise of a confident global South, ready to write its own rules. Countries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America are asserting themselves, demanding a seat at the table and a voice in shaping the future. The old world is fading, and a new, unpredictable one is taking its place. As Europe looks east, the world holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next in this unfolding story of global transformation. To truly grasp the significance of this moment in global history, we need to look beyond the headlines and understand the deeper forces at play. The world is witnessing a dramatic shift, one that could reshape the balance of power for decades to come. At the heart of this transformation is BRICS, a coalition that has evolved from a simple acronym into a powerful alliance, challenging the established order and offering a new vision for the future. The term BRIC was first coined in 2001 by economist Jim O'Neill, who saw the potential of Brazil, Russia, India, and China as rising economic giants. What began as an investment concept quickly gained momentum, and by 2009, these countries had formed a real-world alliance, meeting regularly to coordinate policies and amplify their collective voice. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, expanding BRICS into Africa and making it a truly global coalition. This move gave the bloc a strategic presence on every major continent of the global South. For years, BRICS served as a platform for emerging economies to demand a greater voice in a world order long dominated by Western powers. It became a symbol of resistance and hope for countries seeking fairer representation in global institutions like the IMF and World Bank. But the real turning point came at the 2024 Kazan summit, when Russia led a bold expansion, welcoming Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE. This marked a new era, as BRICS opened its doors to nations from North Africa, the Middle East, and the Horn of Africa. The momentum didn't stop there. Indonesia joined in 2025, followed closely by Saudi Arabia. In just over a year, the bloc more than doubled in size, signaling its growing appeal and influence. This expansion was no accident. It was a calculated strategy to unite countries with vast economic resources, young populations, and strategic locations, building a new center of gravity in world affairs. The new members brought with them immense energy reserves, control over vital shipping lanes like the Suez Canal, and some of the world's fastest-growing populations, assets that could shift the global balance of power. Together, these nations have transformed BRICS into a coalition representing not just a significant slice of humanity, but also a major share of the global economy, trade, and innovation. BRICS is the story of countries once marginalized by the post-war system, now rising to challenge and reform it. Their journey is about rewriting the rules of global governance and demanding a seat at the table. And now, the stage is set for an even more astonishing twist. European nations, once the architects of the old order, are now knocking on BRICS' door, seeking a place in this new world alliance. Serbia and Turkey's applications to BRICS are calculated moves, born of frustration and strategic foresight. Serbia, long caught between East and West, is signaling it has options beyond the slow conditional path to EU membership. Turkey, a NATO member for over 70 years, is making a geopolitical earthquake, seeking new alliances after years of tension with the West. Both nations see BRICS as a platform for economic growth and political autonomy, free from Western strings. The bloc offers access to vast markets and development funding with fewer conditions than the IMF or World Bank. For Serbia and Turkey, BRICS is a chance to have their voices heard and their sovereignty respected. Their move could shatter the notion of a monolithic West and accelerate the shift to a multipolar world. The expanded BRICS bloc is now a demographic and economic titan, standing as a symbol of a shifting world order. Once seen as a loose coalition of emerging economies, BRICS has transformed into a powerful alliance that is impossible to ignore on the global stage. With new members like Egypt, Ethiopia, and Indonesia joining the original five, the group's reach now stretches across even more continents, cultures, and economies. These additions bring fresh perspectives, resources, and ambitions to the table, making BRICS more representative of the global south than ever before. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, two economic heavyweights from the Middle East, further amplify the bloc's influence, especially in energy and finance. Their participation signals a new era of cooperation between Asia, Africa, and the Arab world. Altogether, BRICS now represents about 45% of the world's population, a staggering figure that underscores its global significance. That's nearly 1 in every 2 people on the planet, making BRICS not just an economic force, but a human one as well. The diversity within the bloc is unmatched, spanning languages, religions, and traditions. Economically, BRICS now accounts for over 35% of global GDP by purchasing power parity, surpassing the G7 for the first time. This shift marks a dramatic change in the balance of economic power, as the world's financial center of gravity moves east and south. The center of global growth has shifted from the West to a diverse coalition spanning Asia, Africa, and South America. These regions are now driving innovation, manufacturing, and trade at an unprecedented scale. BRICS also wields immense influence over global energy markets, controlling around 30% of world oil production. This dominance gives the bloc a powerful voice in shaping the future of energy, from fossil fuels to renewables. This gives the bloc leverage over energy prices and security, a critical factor for Europe and beyond. As energy demands rise and markets fluctuate, BRICS decisions will increasingly impact households and industries worldwide. With its combined population, economic output, and vast natural resources, BRICS is now a force that can set its own agenda, challenge established powers, and offer new pathways for global cooperation. The Titan has awakened, reshaping the geopolitical landscape with every new member, and signaling a future where the voices of the many, not just the few, will help shape the world's destiny. BRICS is a coalition of diverse, sometimes competing ambitions. For Russia and China, it's a tool to counter American dominance and build an alternative global system. China sees BRICS as a way to champion the global south and legitimize its development model. India and Brazil want a multipolar world but are wary of BRICS becoming anti-Western or China-dominated. New members like Iran seek relief from sanctions, while Saudi Arabia and the UAE want to diversify their alliances. For Egypt and Ethiopia, it's about access to development finance and global prestige. This mix of ambitions makes BRICS dynamic but complex, a coalition united by a desire for change, but driven by different dreams. The rise of BRICS has drawn inevitable comparisons to the G7, the club of the world's wealthiest democracies. The G7 has long set the global agenda, united by shared values and history. BRICS, by contrast, is a coalition of the large and rising spanning continents and political systems. What unites BRICS is not ideology, but a belief that the global system needs reform. The G7 seeks to preserve the current order. BRICS wants to reshape it to reflect new realities. With its GDP now exceeding the G7's in purchasing power parity, BRICS can no longer be dismissed. The world now faces two competing visions for global governance, one led by the G7, the other by BRICS. The tension between these clubs will likely define 21st century geopolitics. The question, Which vision will shape the future? BRICS isn't just talking about change, it's building it. The new development bank funds infrastructure and development, offering loans without the strings attached by Western institutions. The contingent reserve arrangement provides a financial safety net independent of the IMF. BRICS is also pushing for de-dollarization, settling more trade in local currencies. These institutions are practical tools to increase self-reliance and reduce vulnerability to Western pressure. The bloc is exploring a common payment system and even a shared digital currency. Each initiative is another brick in the foundation of a multipolar world. The expansion of BRICS and the stunning news of European applicants has sent shockwaves through the West. Some leaders dismiss the bloc, but its momentum is undeniable. The inclusion of a NATO member like Turkey alarms Western capitals, threatening alliance cohesion. Diplomats scramble to assess the long-term implications. Will this spark a new Cold War, or force a new era of cooperation? The future could bring heightened competition and fragmentation, or a more balanced, multipolar system. BRICS's internal diversity may prevent it from becoming a rigid anti-Western bloc. What's certain? The era of uncontested Western dominance is over. The rise of BRICS, supercharged by expansion and European interest, has changed the global chessboard. The coming years will test the diplomacy and adaptability of all sides. The answers will define the 21st century.